Talk STL.
Hey, you might as well make your appointment now because you know you're going to have your aches and pains come Monday. Especially, look, I've noticed it. I've noticed with the change in weather. It was like 20 degrees last night out in the hinterlands where I live, where Johnny and I live, way out in the country. And that makes things a little harder. It makes it harder to get around. Injuries, you feel them more. You need even more maintenance than usual, don't you, during the winter months? Comprehensive Chiropractic can help you out with that and so much more. Yeah, they're open all next week, of course, as usual, and lots of great hours through the holiday season. They are the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. Yes, they're based in my beautiful hometown of Eureka, but they service everybody all across Eastern Missouri and beyond. They get a draw from everywhere because they're that good. They have tons of great docs there. They have tons of great services above and beyond. Yes, they've got the chiropractic services. That's just the building blocks of what they can do for you at Comprehensive Chiropractic. They have the studio upstairs, the Health and Wellness Center, located on the top floor. Beautiful top floor. Like, man, when you're there, they got all those they got like the music, and they've got like the little waterfall things and the big skylights. You feel like you're like in Sedona or Scottsdale. Pilates, yoga, certified experienced instructors, small classes for personal attention. Do you need more than that? How about a new you heading into the new year? They can design, and it's not hard. It's not complicated. I don't want you to think it's any big deal. They do it every day. They can develop a personal training schedule for you so you can get everything back into shape. Not just your skeletal system for the chiropractic, your muscular system, your diet, your supplements. They'll work with you on all of it, and you'll feel better. I feel better. And they can take care of young, old, men, women, doesn't matter. Any shape, size, color, creed. Young people, you need chiropractic. My kids have been, because my kids are hardcore athletes, both daughters, and they've had to have some things worked out as well. They've got it all, Comprehensive Chiropractic. I'd love for you to give them a call today, 636-938-9310, or 24/7. Just simply look them up online, cchiropractic.com, cchiropractic.com, Comprehensive Chiropractic, chiropractic.com. They can take care of all your comprehensive healthcare needs.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Larry Connors here with a perfect Christmas gift for the conservative in your life. Let's go to southern Italy on a tour of the most beautiful coastline in the world, the Amalfi Coast. Join me for 11 magical days with professionals from Conservative Tours, $54.88. That includes airfare from St. Louis. Call toll-free 888-733-9494 or go to conservativetours.com. Let's go to Italy this spring.
Need reliable auto service from people you can trust? Look no further than Western Tire and Auto. For over 15 years, we've been your complete automotive repair center, family owned and operated, with owner Dean Kleethermes bringing 30 years of industry experience. At Western Tire and Auto, you're not just a customer, you're family. We promise 100% satisfaction, treating you with the transparency, respect, and honesty you deserve. Visit us in St. Peters or in Florissant. For appointments, call or check westerntireauto.com. Western Tire and Auto, your local automotive experts since 2008.
You can't get food like this in Paris. Bring the family for breakfast and brunch to Nadine's Hash House, offering home-style cooked meals the way your mother made them. Try the savory Southside Slinger, the cinnamon streusel pancakes, or Nadine's famous hash. Make sure to follow Nadine's Hash House on Facebook for weekly specials. Open today from 7 till 1:30 in Soulard on Broadway. Nadine's Hash House. You can't get food like this in Paris. Nadine'sHashHouse.com.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
First of all, it's the greatest comeback story in American political history. I mean, when you think about all the things you just listed that he survived, from the political stuff to the lawfare to the assassination attempts to the Democrats changing out their campaign, when you think about all the unprecedented stuff that he had to survive in order to come back from losing in 2020 to winning not just the Electoral College, but the popular vote in 2024, there's never been anything like it. One of the superpowers of Donald Trump is that he's the breaker of narratives. And there were always narratives around him that he could never win the election, that the case in New York was going to bring him down, that, this or that was going to be the thing that finally brought down Donald Trump, or that Kamala Harris was the greatest presidential candidate we've ever seen, and so on and so forth. Trump is the breaker of narratives. And I think he exposed really the political information distribution complex in this election for what it is, which is often a distributor of narratives and not facts.
429 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Tim, we have on the line a guest that I'm very honored and that he is able to join us. He is Rick Tyler. He is director of the Advanced School of Politics at the Leadership Institute. And Rick was a national spokesperson for U.S. Senator Ted Cruz's presidential campaign in 2016. And that's where I think I met him on the campaign in South Carolina, a guy who was really, really sharp about politics. He's also does a lot of things, including running the Campaign Leadership College, which my Becky had the honor of attending last summer. She learned so much. It's incredible. And I tell folks all the time after Becky attended that, the conservative movement is in great hands for the future. Rick, thank you, and welcome to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show.
Happy to be here, guys.
Excellent, excellent. Tell us about the Campaign Leadership College. It's very, very intense. It's not just a couple of hours on a Saturday afternoon. You put these folks through the rigors of every aspect of campaigns, don't you?
Well, I like to think of the Campaign Leadership College as a vocational school in the sense that we want to train people who want to work in the political field as a conservative and help get conservatives elected. And we vet them very carefully. We accept, in fact, in the last school, we only accepted about a third of the people who had applied. And it is a 9-day course. It's 75 hours of coursework. And I like to say that if you give us 9 days, we'll give you 9 years of experience, because politics is a business where you need experience, and experience is a hard teacher. It gives the test first and the lesson later. And what we try to do is get people to in a position where they can avoid many of the mistakes the rookies make and focus on getting conservatives elected. And so I think that's what we do, and I think we do it very successfully. And we have a lot of stories about people who came to the school and went on to manage campaigns or be communications directors, political directors, and have won races for the conservative movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rick, I was going to ask you about that next. You've got the photos of leadershipinstitute.org. Got some photos of some pretty famous people. I know you have many alumni that, as you said, are all across the political world and even serving at some of the highest levels in office, don't you? This is a true training school for those who are going to serve our country, and it's important that we have this resource, isn't it?
It is, and the left has it. They do a very good job of training their people, and so the left winning is not an accident. They don't just they're not screwing around. They understand that real power is at stake, and they work hard to get people elected. And the Leadership Institute does it as well. One of our key faculty members is Mark Campbell, and he was the campaign manager for the Youngkin campaign here in Virginia. And so we have very serious people. In the last Campaign Leadership College, which we just completed, it was 9 days. We had, I think, 43 lectures, 28 different faculty. And when you start adding up the faculty years, I mean, it's hundreds of years of experience. Most of our faculty has worked in the business a long time, and they really just now, they've done very well, and they want to give back to the next generation of conservative leaders. And so we're really trying to flood the zone with people who are competent in running campaigns, because It's unfortunate. What happens is we too often send good conservative candidates out to fight the battle. They don't have any experience, so they end up running the mechanical side of the campaign when they shouldn't be doing that. They should be running the message side of the campaign. And we also have a candidate school that teaches those folks how to do that. But what we really need is to train mechanics who understand how to do the mechanical side of the campaign, manage the campaign, manage good people, and get people persuaded, because that's what elections are about. They're all about persuasion, to vote for your candidate. And we do that systematically. We bring them through a curriculum, and they end up running a campaign plan for a real race. We just finished doing real races for the House of Delegates in Virginia, because they're up this year or next year. And before that, we were doing mostly congressional races, real congressional races, writing campaign plans for them as an exercise. And I talk to too many people that don't write campaign plans. In fact, the school superintendent now of Maricopa County took our course, and she fired her consultants because she went out there and said, "Well, where's your plan? What are your vote goals?" And they had no idea what she was talking about. She said, "Okay, you're gone," and she hired the right people, and she went on to win.
Speaking with Rick Tyler, director of the Advanced School of Politics at the Leadership Institute. Rick, I've had the opportunity of attending a couple of the what they call murder boards dealing with the Campaign Leadership School. It's at the end of the class. As best you can, give the folks a feel of what are the quote unquote murder boards.
Well, we do murder boards all week, and it's basically they're assigned homework each night that's going to build toward their campaign plan, and we pick a few. They work in groups, and we pick a few groups at random to make sure that they've done their homework, and then we critique their work. Now, the murder boards they're designed to be a learning experience, but there are no bouquets thrown, and sometimes people can get a little rough. But at the end of the week, after 9 days, they present their full campaign plan. They have about 25 minutes to do that. And the scene is sort of a little bit like American Idol. And they present to a 4-judge panel, and those judges rate their performance and the completeness of their plan. They're given an outline. They know what to present. And I have to say, as a political operative for 30 years, I am shocked to the degree that some people have never written a campaign plan. And they get up there with a group and they present just outstanding campaign plans.
And I have to brag just a bit, Tim, before we get to you. My wife's team won the murder boards competition last summer, so I got to throw that little plug in for them.
Of course,
That's
she is your better half.
Exactly. No argument here.
And Rick, you all at the Leadership Institute, you have wide scope and breadth, right? You're not just an academic exercise and then to tell people, go out and do whatever. I know you have a sister organization entity, conservativejobs.com. And Rick, there's a lot of opportunity. Chris and I get asked all the time, especially by parents or for young people, how do I get into politics? How do I get into public policy? Well, Rick, I imagine with Donald Trump returning to Washington, D.C., and a whole host of Republicans and conservatives returning to the swamp as well, going to be staffing up agencies and directorships and all kinds of things. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for people, young and old, to engage in public service at all kinds of levels, won't there be?
That's absolutely right. And you're right, LA is much bigger than just the Advanced School of Politics. We also have a state and local. We do most of our training actually on the field. And in fact, we've trained 82,000 people have attended our courses over the last 3 years.
Wow.
We also have a campus presence, and so we're exposing liberal bias on campus. We have a newspaper that does that, but we also have a jobs board. It's called conservativejobs.org. It's run by Matt Hurt, and when you graduate from one of our schools, and particularly one of the advanced schools like the Campaign Leadership College, we will help you find a job. We want you to find a job. We want you to put your skills to work. We do not want to waste donors' money training you and then having you not do anything with it. So we're here to help. And so we are placing people in jobs, not only in campaigns, but also in government. We staff government offices. We do foreign service training. We do media training. We place people in journalism jobs. We have lots of people who've gone through our studios program to learn how to do camera work and audio visual and do documentary style filmmaking, and they go out and they, in fact, one of our fellows from that is now a White House photographer for the next cycle, and we're proud of that. And works on and others work in, the different various networks. So there's just not enough conservatives everywhere, and we want to flood the zone with campaign managers, journalists, videographers, people who make quality product to present. Because conservatism, Chris, as you know, is an attractive governing philosophy.
Right.
And we have to talk about it that way, and we have to present it that way. And so we're training people to get people to be persuaded that conservative philosophy is better for their lives. We're about making our lives better, not our own, not other people's lives better, not our own self-interest.
Speaking with Rick Tyler, director of the Advanced School of Politics at the Leadership Institute. He runs the CLC, Conservative Leadership College. You guys do a lot of training here in the United States and also here locally. Maybe we can get in that also. But you do a lot of training international. I mean, you've done things that Becky and I plan on attending next summer there in England, your fundraising seminar. You've done things in Australia. You've done things in some of the former Eastern Bloc countries, training the next batch of conservatives in those areas. Talk about your efforts there, Rick.
Yeah, so we reserve a few seats at the Campaign Leadership College for foreign internationals, and what we have trained leaders from over 23 different countries. We've been active in way more than that, and I've personally traveled with the Leadership Institute to Australia, to Israel, to Malawi in Africa, to Latvia, Estonia, Portugal, Germany, and we're trying to train people of the importance of freedom. And what's interesting is, because we're a 501c3, so we don't have a partisan advantage, although we do have an ideological worldview, which is conservative. But overseas, we can work directly with parties because there's no limit on that. So we work with the UK Conservatives. We work with the Australian Liberals. They are the Conservatives there. The Liberals stole the word from us. We should take it back. And we work with the New Zealand Nationals. We work with different parties in Poland, just all over the world. And when we had, in fact, one woman from Georgia, the country of Georgia, not the state of Georgia. And we work with a lot of people in the Eastern Bloc countries, and for them, we talk about American politicians as freedom fighters. Well, I can tell you, she's a freedom fighter, because by being in the opposition party, her life is at risk every single day.
Speaking to Rick Tyler with the Leadership Institute, the Advanced School of Politics there. Rick, I imagine Washington, D.C. is quite a buzz these days. Tell us a little, is there a different feeling in the air? I know you've had a lot of events recently. I imagine that once we got past the election day and victory was certain, that there's a renewed sense of interest, not only in the Leadership Institute, but just in trying to make, everything great again in the United States of America.
Yeah, and I think the thing that we have to be careful of is winning is not the end; it's the beginning. And people will, they'll say, "Oh, we won," and so then we can relax. No, we won, but I'm not really interested in the next election cycle. I'm interested in the election cycle 10 years from now. And so when at the Leadership Institute, we try to do very long-term planning and pick away at our goals, year by year, so we can have progress. I'm less interested in the cyclical nature of politics and more interested in how do you sustain a long-term conservative movement, and it takes planning. And so yes, Washington is changing, but I would invite every conservative to make sure that the incoming administration fulfills, that they're working toward progress. Now, it is hard to undo things that have been done for generations. And remember, Democrats and liberals have been in charge for most of the last 80 years, and you're not going to just undo that in one cycle. So stick with it and try to get people to do the things that we need to get done: more individual freedom, lower taxes. There's a whole litany of things that need to be fixed, and let's work toward getting them fixed. But I think communication is absolutely essential. Remember, in a conservative or a constitutional republic, communication is key, and we must be constantly communicating with people who vote that the conservative philosophy is an attractive governing philosophy that means more freedom for them, more autonomy, more prosperity. But we've got to communicate in a way that attracts people to our philosophy and wants our team to win. And not pushes them away.
Rick, if there's a young Republican listening to us right now and he has an interest in attending the Campaign Leadership College, what do they need to do?
Well, he should go to the Leadership Institute website. We will have another Campaign Leadership College later this year, likely in June. That will be announced very soon, but to get on the LI mailing list, and then he or she will get that email announcing that we're now taking applications for that particular school. And then just, work hard, get involved in politics. Politics is a meritocracy. There's only two left in the United States that I can identify. One is in a restaurant kitchen where they don't care what your last name is. You work hard and you produce great meals every night, you'll always have a job. And that is true in politics too. If you produce every single day and do good work and help get people elected, you will always have a job. And campaign managers are always in high demand.
Wise advice from Rick Tyler, director of the Advanced School of Politics at the Leadership Institute. He runs the Campaign Leadership College. Rick, thank you so much for your time, my friend, and have a great weekend. And I hope that we can touch bases with you maybe later down the future.
We'd love to do it. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, great interview there, Rick Tyler.
Great guy.
Spokesman for Cruz. Now he runs the Campaign Leadership College. It is intense. And Becky can tell you, it was a serious thing that they put them through. And you learn every aspect of the campaign. So if you're interested in wanting to go that route, go to the leadershipinstitute.org. And I'm sure all the information is there.
Very cool.
It is. Chris's Corner, we'll talk about Caitlin Clark admitting she has white privilege and how I think that's BS. Talk about that on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Cloudy and chilly today with a high in the low to mid 40s, but it should stay dry and a little bit on the breezy side too, so there is a little wind chill out there. Overnight lows tonight in the 40s and the high tomorrow close to 50, but it looks like a soaking rain most of the day. It'll move in the morning and then showers throughout the day, starting to let up a little bit in the evening. Drier, partly cloudy and 56 degrees on Sunday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
The Vic Borselli Show.
We'll get filled in on the latest school board meeting at the Francis Howell District with Jane Pushkar. She joins us Monday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
And, those of you who listen to us daily on the show can hear that I'm a little nasally. I've got a little cold a little bit. It's because I've been walking around with no hat on, not really thinking about it's cold outside. The winter is here. It is coming. It is no longer right around the corner. At Elite Comfort Experts, they don't offer gimmicks, just guarantees. I'm glad that even though I'm a little under the weather, that my heater is working. And if it wasn't working, Elite Comfort Experts have emergency services that are available 24/7, when you need it most. Elite Comfort Experts, they offer upfront transparent pricing on repairs and replacements. And, with new government mandates, 2025 is just around the corner. Manufacturer price hikes, delaying a replacement means paying more. Most HVAC contractors promise a 90-day installation warranty and a 30-day repair warranty. What do you get with Elite? A 1 year on all warranties and repairs. Check around. That is unheard of. Elite is not interested in short-term relationships. They want to have a lifetime relationship with you. So why cheat you starting off doing something like that? They want to be honest and upfront with you, and you get the best pricing and the best service. Elite performs comprehensive evaluations on all maintenance and repair services with a written evaluation report. Company cultures and core values, their team members understand that they are in a customer service business. Give them a try. They will prove that to you. Visit them online at elitecomfortexperts.com, elitecomfortexperts.com, or give them a call at 636-887-0971, 636-887-0971, and tell them Chris Arps told you to call.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
True story. I was with Jay Ackerman, and a waitress came up and began praising Ackerman Toyota. She was afraid she might need a new car, so she had gone to Ackerman and was told, you don't really need a new car, just new tires. Obviously, tremendously relieved and thanking Jay over and over. Another example where Ackerman Toyota did what's right for her and will for you. AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency. We're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
4:51 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Johnny tried to trip me up there. He was asking me, was that the Isley Brothers or is it Ice Cube? And I said, it's a little bit slower than Ice Cube's version. So I'm going to go with Isley Brothers. And I get the prize. There it is.
You win.
Boy, that's good 70s music there. A lot of children were made during Isley Brothers records, but that's probably too much.
TMI. That was a TMI
that's
moment.
Probably too much information. All right. Time Magazine has picked their Athlete of the Year, and she is female basketball phenom Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
Everyone has been just elated with what she's done for the game. She's put the WNBA on the map, and she has stayed very stoic towards a lot of criticism and abuse by fellow players. But she may have broken, and we'll talk about that next on Chris's Corner.
Chris's Corner is brought to you by Elite Comfort Experts. Call 636-887-0971 or EliteComfortExperts.com.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
So, being Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year, I guess that means you have to do an interview with them, too, for that privilege. So, she did do an interview, and She said this, Tim, which has stirred a lot of controversy. She said, quote, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league who have been really good have been black players. This league has been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. Well, that's very powerful and very nice words. But whatever happens when you give in to terrorists, Tim, do they ever just say, oh, okay, well, that's fine. We're going to go with that. They always demand more and more and more. Look, Caitlin Clark, you don't need to apologize for having talent. Look, the NBA, the WNBA are basically black leagues. You know why? Because the best players are black. That's why. Now, if you are a white girl that can straight up hoop, that's just as good or better than the black players, that's going to put attention on yourself. It's not necessarily a fact because you're white. You're an oddity. You're a white girl that can hoop and can do it very, very well, and you embarrass some of these black players. It's the same thing as when Tiger Williams started playing golf, a white sport. He started dominating, doing very well. What happened to the game of golf, Tim? Everybody
got more interesting.
Exactly. And everybody started paying attention to golf because, one, he was a phenom. He was an incredible player. But, hey, here's a black kid with Asian heritage is mastering a white person's game. I mean, that's just the fact of it, Caitlin. You don't need to apologize for that. And, look, most of the players have been in the league are black. But, you know, when you talk about privilege, look, sports is the one area of life where privilege doesn't get you jack. That if you may be privileged and you may come from a great family, but if you're going against another competitor that is better than you, that grew up in the projects or grew out in the sticks somewhere, they're going to play. You're not going to play. You know, she talks about privilege and all of this. Look, and this also shows the cattiness of women compared to men. If you look at that, Johnny's like, look at this. Hey now. And this is why I say that, because look what happened when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird came into the league. There was a racial type of rivalry involved in that, but none of the black players in the NBA were like purposely fouling Larry Bird to try to hurt him. The black players, the other players, basically said what a lot of people are saying is like, you know what? Larry Bird can hoop. He's a white guy that can play some basketball. You got to give him his props. He can play. And that's what happened. He gained respect on that. Sports is one area where there's no such thing as privilege. If you can play, and if you can play. If you're good, you can play. And that was proven during when Jackie Robinson came and broke the color barrier. Once it was he proved that he could play with the white players and were just as good as them or better. That opened up the door for other players as well. And Tim, I'm sure that a lot of black players that came into the major leagues after Jackie Robinson opened that door shut out some white players that may have been
probably so
not as good, but they had quote unquote privilege. And we're talking about the 50s. We're talking about segregation. The black players played because they were the best. So Caitlin, I know you want to be accepted in the WNBA. I know you're tired of being abused. You want to be loved. You should. You're a great player. You're an oddity. Accept that. You're a white girl that can hoop in the WNBA. Accept that. It's going to make you millions and millions of dollars in the future, just like it did for Larry Bird. And that is my ESPN Chris's Corner for a Friday the 13th.
Yeah, bending the knee is a great way to get kicked in the face. And I just want to say, Chris, on behalf of all white people, you can maybe argue with a straight face. You can try to argue white privilege here, there, and everywhere. Yeah. The NBA and WNBA is not one place to do it. And you said it. Caitlin Clark can shoot the ball.
She's good.
That's why she's there.
Exactly. 4:57, Tim. Coming up at 5:07, we'll have the Speaker Stump Speech, and we'll have Dr. Aaron Hudlin, Chief Economist at the Show Me Institute. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res, the team we trust with keeping our home clean and healthy. And the folks at Zero Res know how important it is to you to have a clean, healthy home this holiday season. And that's why they have this great offer for you right now. Book a cleaning with Zero Res and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
The Republican Party of the City of St. Louis wishes you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, no matter how you celebrate the season. Join the City of St. Louis Republicans for their annual holiday party, December 18th at PH Rose. There'll be a silent auction, raffle, and plenty of holiday cheer. Go to stl-gop.com to get your tickets and learn more. The City of St. Louis Republicans wish you a joyous holiday season and a prosperous new year.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. New rules to limit overdraft bank fees are getting legal pushback. Correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Some banks and banking trade groups are suing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau over a finalized rule that limits overdraft fees that banks can charge. The rule is part of the Biden administration's campaign to reduce junk fees that hit consumers on everyday purchases, including banking services. The new rule sets a cap of $5 for an overdraft fee. The group claims that the CFPB is exceeding its authority. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Texas has sued a New York doctor for prescribing abortion pills to a Texas woman via telemedicine. It appears to be the first challenge in the U.S. to a state shield law that's intended to protect prescribers in Democratic-controlled states from being punished by states with abortion bans. Prescriptions like these made online and over the phone are a key reason that the number of abortions has increased across the U.S., even after state bans started taking effect. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is urging Mideast nations to support a peaceful Syrian political transition.
We're very focused on Syria, very focused on the opportunity that now is before us and before the Syrian people to move from out from under the shackles of Bashar al-Assad to a different and better future for the Syrian people, one that the Syrian people decide for themselves.
Blinken met on Friday with Turkey's foreign minister after talks with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to try to bring Turkey into a consensus to prevent Syria from collapsing into wider turmoil. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 86 points, the Nasdaq rose 23. More at townhall.com.
Hi, Mom. Ooh, it's so cold out there. Surprise, I brought you something.
Socks. Oh, heat holders original. Wow, this is so soft and cozy.
Heat holder socks are the warmest. I use them for snow sports and around the farm. I also bought a bunch for my new work site. The other guys were so jealous they all bought them. And the best part is the socks come in 3 levels of warmth. Originals, lights, and ultralights.
Oh, Jill can use the ultralights when dog walking. Oh boy, I know what everyone is getting for gifts this holiday.
Heat holder socks are the warmest, and independent lab tests prove they're 7 times warmer than cotton socks. We use a proprietary 3-stage process, advanced insulating yarn, a long loop thermal pile, and brushed on the inside. This process helps trap warm air closer to your skin longer, keeping your feet warm, comfortable, and dry, making heat holders the softest, warmest, and most comfortable socks guaranteed. We also have hats, gloves, throws, and so much more. Go to heatholders.com. Use the code HEAT to save 15% off your order. Free shipping for orders over $25. Go to heatholders.com. 5.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Cloudy and chilly today with a high in the low to mid 40s, but it should stay dry and a little bit on the breezy side too, so there is a little wind chill out there. Overnight lows tonight in the 40s and the high tomorrow close to 50, but it looks like a soaking rain most of the day. It'll move in the morning and then showers throughout the day, starting to let up a little bit in the evening. Drier, partly cloudy and 56 degrees on Sunday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing, you can count on Connor.
I'm so tired of my water smelling like rotten eggs. Iron foul. It makes my clothes and home smell. And my sink and faucet look dirty. I'm calling Jones Air and Water Treatment for their solution to this pollution.
Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to your pollution. Call now for your free water analysis at 636-899-1040 and live with clean, great-tasting water. That's 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
We talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
So just if you're wondering, America, here's the Democrats' plan. Take the 13 million plus illegals who are here, taking jobs from Americans, taking wages down, taking health care benefits, and bring them here legally so that they can continue to drive down wages, flood the labor force, and suppress
Senator
all of the
Hawley,
above.
they can't flood the labor force if they're already part of the labor force, which is
They
the
are
economic
flooding the
issue
labor
today.
force now. That's what's happening now. Why
The
do you think
majority
wages
have been here
flatlined?
for over 15 years, many millions of
And
years
what has
since
happened
the Reagan
to working class
administration.
wages in that time, Mr. Reichland-Melnick?
Working class
Have they gone
wages
up?
are currently going up. Yes,
Oh, really? They've
have
gone up over the last 15 years?
Over the
They're
last
up?
15 years, I will have to consult the economists on that matter.
Yeah, they're down, way down. What world do you live in?
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, 5:06 in the PM on a Friday, December the 13th, 2024. That sounds like a Chris's Corner that you gave a couple weeks ago on that exact same issue. Why don't the liberals understand this, Chris? Do they not want to understand this? Do they know what they're doing? It's intentional. They don't give a rip because it's been 4 years of flooding the market with unskilled, illegal alien labor, and it's had an effect on the country. Nothing against these folks. I know they want to come here. We're the greatest country on earth, despite the fact the left tells you we're not. but we can't have it run this way.
It's absolutely delusional thinking to think that, well, because these people came years ago and have taken American jobs, that's not flooding the market. They've been flooding the market over decades of time. They may not be coming in millions. Well, they have 2.5 million at a time. And I have something in the stack here, but that argument makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no difference. The fact is, if you're in this country illegally, you shouldn't be here. 1, 2, you shouldn't be working.
Yes. And
sorry, my voice got a little high there, like Peter Brady, but that just
your passion.
Man.
And the businesses, look, we're not just going to blame the liberals. The businesses, which may or may not be run by Republicans or conservatives, you're just as much to blame. We can't keep running the railroad this way, especially the United States of America. It's ridiculous. Exactly. Welcome back to the program. And we should mention that we're giving stuff away. Yes, we're giving more stuff away than we already have for this beautiful, glorious holiday season. News Talk STL. We want to fill your stockings with great gifts this Christmas. We got a stocking stuffer giveaway. As Chris said the other day, 10 days of Christmas in one. On December the 23rd, we're going to stuff all your stockings with about, I don't know, $1,000 or so worth of stuff from many of our wonderful advertisers. So I believe there's going to be 10 winners who could get some or more of these items. Gift cards from Tropical World Pets. Gift cards from Woodson Stonefire Pizza. Doesn't that sound good? Mm-hmm. Especially on a cold, rainy day, which tomorrow's going to be. News Talk STL merch. We got a lot of it. We got all kinds of stuff from t-shirts to hoodies to hats. 1-year range membership from Metro Shooting Supplies. Gift basket from El Moriela Supermercado in Bridgeton, which is a fantastic supermarket in our region. Not far from the studios. Mm-hmm. All kinds of great stuff. So how do you win? Go to newstalkstl.com. Newstalkstl.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Sign up for the contest. Sign up for everything. Please don't keep us a secret. Share us with all your family and friends.
And I want to do another call out to our Newsteaders $500 gift certificate winner. We'd like to hear from you. I'm curious.
Yeah.
What exactly did you buy? And love for you to send the station a picture and we can post it up.
Yep. Hit us up on
forgot his name, unfortunately. But
Brian Williams.
Brian Williams. How could I forget Brian Williams?
Not
Brian.
Not the NBC anchor.
Not the NBC anchor. Brian, let us know what your gift is.
Mm-hmm. Chris, I told you I was going to find this for you. So outgoing, thank goodness, doesn't that sound like outgoing squad member, Jamal Bowman. Chris, he issued a post the other day on X where he addressed all of us white people.
Oh, okay.
And since you didn't vote for Joe Biden, maybe he includes you as well. I don't know. So he says, this was following. So this was this was expressing his aggravation, annoyance, outrage. I don't know, his upset feelings about the Daniel Penny verdict. So this is his response to that. He's from New York, right? He's a New York guy. Dear white people, I don't know why I feel the need to keep talking to you. Well, don't bother. I don't know why part of me still has hope for you and for us. Some of you are too far gone. I don't know what that means, but maybe enough of you aren't and will join us in fighting to end white supremacy. Bauman declared in the first post of his. Chris, how is it white supremacy that a New York City, this was not a Montana, South Dakota, it wasn't even a Missouri jury. I don't know how much more diverse and probably liberal you can get than a New York City jury. Chris, maybe this jury actually looked at the law and applied it to the facts. Maybe that's what they actually did.
Look, it doesn't matter what the era is, what the decade is. The Democrats, especially African-American politicians and leaders, have built their whole careers on racism, white supremacy, affirmative action. And that can never change because they will lose their power base. And that's why I always argue against reparations, because it's like, you know, if black people ever did get reparations and were paid off, do you understand we have no more grievances anymore? You can't come back. You can't come back and like, yeah, but it was like, hey, we paid you, go away. So, you know, your whole philosophy is built on that. it doesn't even matter when a jury and anybody with common sense could see that this man was protecting himself and the passengers. It's white supremacy. And they don't realize that because they're so stuck in that paradigm, how silly and outdated they actually sound. And then Bowman does. And probably the reason why he will be former congressman next year.
And I guess he'll need to start laying blame for white supremacy at the feet of his fellow Democrats, because they're the ones. He didn't lose to some wealthy old white Republican dude. He lost to a white guy in the Democratic primary. The Democrats kicked out Jamal Bowman.
So maybe he's pissed off at white Democrats. Maybe he wasn't you.
Maybe he needs
conservatives and Republicans. He's okay with you. It's white Democrats he's mad at now because they forced him out.
Maybe that's why I didn't actually get the letter.
That's why you didn't get the letter. That was for white Democrats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They must have gotten the postmarked letter.
Exactly.
That's great. That's a great point. What do we got left here? We got a lot here on a Friday. We got Dr. Aaron Hedlund coming up at 5:24. Man, we're going to talk about the latest inflationary data, what that means for the Fed meeting next week, a look at the situation in Europe and the position the European Central Bank is currently in. Euro socialism, not a recipe for success. We'll talk about all that and more at 5:24. We always have a lot of questions for Dr. Aaron Hedlund because he
have to
rapid fires us the answers. That's the problem. At 5:45, I got to head out to go to Abby's swim meet tonight, but Chris and Johnny will help take you fully into the weekend along with Larry previewing.
That's the first I'm hearing that.
I got to leave at 5:45. I got to leave at 5:45.
Okay.
Abby, here's the problem. Abby has been swimming for Eureka High School for 2 years now. I have missed every single meet because you know when they have them? They have them between 4 and 6 p.m. Of course. So today it doesn't start till 5:30. Okay. So I said, all right, Suzanne, I really don't want to miss too much of the show, but how about I leave? She goes, I think you'll make it.
Good.
So I'm going to make an effort. I don't have to go too far.
Well,
so,
good luck to her today.
Thank you.
And what's her?
What is she swimming today? I can't remember. She's swimming one. Unfortunately, she's not real happy about. But it's funny, Chris. You would think if you're a great swimmer, and Abby is,
right?
It's kind of like silly though for me to think that because like everybody thinks I'm a lawyer, so I know everything about the law.
Right.
There's specialty strokes, right?
Sure.
Her favorite stroke, and she actually won first place in this last week. She is good at the breaststroke.
That seems the hardest.
It is. I don't know where she gets it from. She's like
that's the hardest.
like a tadpole. She's awesome in the water, and very proud of her. So Katie, my oldest daughter, just got home from college 2 days ago. So we're all gonna head over and we're gonna watch Abby swim meet tonight. So I'm doing that. But just the last segment. So we got producer Johnny.
We have Johnny. I won't be too lonely.
You won't be lonely here. He's in the studio here with us today.
Joey's gone.
Joey's watching his 35th movie of the day, probably at this point, and he'll come back next week and tell us all about what he did on his day off. I believe you're out on Monday. You're going to go to the the Christmas party.
The governor's Christmas party.
Cool.
On Monday, we'll be attending that, and hopefully we learn some more about who he wants to be the GOP chair.
Come back with some intel.
Yeah, I will.
See if you can get some stories. And then Chris, Joey, and I will be back in studio all next week. We're going to be here all through. Next week is the week before the Christmas break. It's crazy. We'll start talking Christmas stuff. We'll start talking into the year. We'll be talking into the year stuff. We'll get all our lists out, lists about everything, and we'll have predictions, and we'll be looking forward to forecasting 2025.
And we always have the annual Tony Colombo New Year's Eve show where he has a cavalcade of stars.
Big word.
I just learned that.
Good word for it.
Cavalcade of stars. And so we'll look forward to that on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that'll be before we know it. Yeah, Tony's been doing this forever.
Years.
Going back to the old station. Tony always takes over the afternoon of December 31st, whenever that might be. And he does a big old-fashioned variety club type of show. He'll have 5 live music acts in the studio, comedy, tarot card reading.
Exactly.
From our favorite lady there. He'll have all kinds of great stuff. And maybe Chris and I will pop in that day. You never know. You never know if we're out and about. All right. I don't know if you all saw this. Joe Biden. So we're going to talk to Dr. Aaron Hedlund in a second, and this will be a great segue. This will be a great segue into Dr. Aaron Hedlund in a second, because Joe Biden gave this big speech this week about how great of an economy he is
I
leaving
heard that.
in the hands of Donald Trump.
Delusional.
And it is. It truly is. And I am going to prove that point today, right now, in the Speaker's Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Thank you to Chad Hanson, the Hanson's Tree Service, for sponsoring the Speaker's Stump Speech. hansonstree.com. This headline from the Washington Examiner sums up everything I could say about this, but I'll give you a little meat on the bone and little details as well. Biden gives economic farewell speech as voters say good riddance. I think that sums it all up rather well. I could probably just put a little dot on it and say, and that's the Speaker's Stump Speech. But I'll give you a little bit more. But doesn't that encapsulate it all very well? Joe Biden, as Chris said, delusional from day one until day whatever this is, 1442, whatever it might be, January 20th. Can't get here soon enough. The Washington Examiner says Joe Biden emerged from his long winter's nap to give a speech defending his economic legacy. What economic legacy? It's a bad one. That's all I can think of. And the very next day. So this is so great. And you know, karma, what do they say? Karma's I don't know if I can say it on the radio. Karma's a pain in the butt, right?
It's rich.
It's rich. Karma's rich. So Joe Biden gives this big speech at the White House talking about how wonderful his economic legacy is and what a great economy he's handing over to Donald Trump. The very next day, I don't know, can I say maybe the good Lord above made sure this happened? It was reported inflation was up for the second month in a row. So Joe Biden's declaring victory as inflation continues to skyrocket for all the core essentials that we need as middle-class Americans. I will now say this beyond a shadow of a doubt. You can call me whatever you want to call me, but this was all intentional. This was an intentional effort to destroy the middle class because the Speaker's Stump Speech I gave earlier in the week, I told you about the two different paths that the political parties were trying to take us. The Democratic Party, starting with Barack Obama, and they thought they were going to capstone and put a big exclamation point on this with Kamala Harris. They were going to what? They were going to radically transform America into something that was not American. The Republican Party, Donald Trump, wants to radically transform America back to the great America that we had. Many would argue that we were in a strong economic position and in a post-racial and post-grievance America until Barack Obama came along with his whole crew, and then it was doubled down on with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and we would have had another 4 years of that, all this poor navel gazing, and, we're not so great. And what did Obama say? Just get used to under 2% GDP growth because that's the new normal. Yeah, we're going to be a lackluster country with lackluster leadership, and we're no better than all the failed Euro-socialist zones. Why did they want to do that? So you could have the haves and the have-nots in this country. So you could hollow out the middle class. You would have a group of very, very important special people known as the blue-haired, coiffed-up special folks, like in the Hunger Games, living in America's Pan Am, known as Washington, D.C., and then you would have the rest of us living out here in the districts, being overlorded on and being treated as serfs. Biden's happy talk, Washington Examiner says, about the economy, failed to convince many voters, failed to convince a majority of voters. It's a reason his job approval rating, get this, it's still at 39%. Even though he's not running again, even though a lot of presidents, once they start exiting office, the approval rating goes up. Joe Biden's hasn't because his economy keeps going down. His economic disapproval rating is at 60% in the last 5 polls that many outlets have done, with a fourth outlet showing he's at 59%. So it's pretty bad. On election day itself, back in November, 68%, nearly 70% of voters said the economy was not so good or poor. Only 5% thought it was. Who are these 5%? Maybe they're hedge fund managers. I know that bet on downturns. President-elect Donald Trump received 70% of the vote amongst the first group of people who thought the economy was not so hot. And, this isn't just politics. This isn't just the way we feel that was exemplified in the polls. Folks, it's factual. We are still experiencing record inflation because now it may not be as high as it was, but it has now hit an extended period of going on 4 years, maybe exactly as the Democrats intended. All the things that the middle class has to have, gas, groceries, access to cheap food and energy continue to skyrocket. All those core necessities keep going up and up and up. He keeps complaining, Biden does, about trickle-down economics, which Republicans never called that what it was. But most voters have figured out that Bidenomics was the ultimate failure. A strong plurality of voters looked at everything that Joe Biden has done and concluded it was time to bring back Trump and Trumponomics. From the bottom up and the middle out to over and out for Biden in just 4 years. And that's the Speaker's stump speech for today. And I bet Dr. Aaron Hedlund can help us put some more meat on those bones.
I think he's ready. It feels like we haven't spoken to him in a long time.
It does. We're going to speak to him next. Chris and I will. We got a million questions for him because he's always got the quick answers. We're going to talk to Dr. Aaron Hedlund next, chief economist at the Shelby Institute, about what he thinks about the latest inflation data, what it means for the Fed meeting next week, a look at the situation in Europe, which continues to be a failed Euro socialist zone, and more. He's next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Cloudy and chilly today with a high in the low to mid 40s, but it should stay dry and a little bit on the breezy side too, so there is a little wind chill out there. Overnight lows tonight in the 40s and the high tomorrow close to 50, but it looks like a soaking rain most of the day. It'll move in the morning and then showers throughout the day, starting to let up a little bit in the evening. Drier, partly cloudy and 56 degrees on Sunday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter.
Hey everybody, it's your buddy Todd Showalter. Join me and my buddy Joey V for The Right Mind Show when we put the fun in our dysfunctional world.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday evenings at 5 on News Talk STL.
Need any wiring done in your home, business, or industrial facility? I got the one-stop shop for you, AMF Electric. Tim Weir and the gang at AMF Electric will make home wiring, cabling, installations, upgrades, new builds, rehabs. They'll make it a top priority so you will enjoy the comfort and safety you deserve. And it'll be done right the first time. Don't be messing with electrical. Give AMF a call. They can do everything. New lighting, rewiring, cabling, additional circuits. No job too big or too small for them. You need one outlet moved, they got you handled. You need a whole home rewired, they can handle that as well. Commercial services, they always meet safety and professional standards for any business that you need to have them work on. And they've worked on them all. They've worked on little office buildings. They've worked on gigantic auto showrooms, parking lot and sales lighting. It doesn't matter. Again, no job too big or too small in the commercial world. How about industrial design? They can handle the big manufacturing facilities as well. Everybody in the St. Louis region and beyond knows how much expertise and efficiency they have in handling those big industrial installations. They'll get through all your shutdown periods very quickly so you can fire everything back up and get going again. They're available 24/7. It's hard to find that these days. 24/7 for emergency services. 314-647-4066. AMF Electric is always available 24/7 online as well, where you can look and review everything I just discussed. AMFelectric.com. That's AMFelectric.com.
I've got a way for you to really dress up your home, and only one guy I'd trust to do it. Michael Proctor, like doctor. Michael will personally examine which drapes, blinds, or shutters will complement your home. He doesn't just measure, he designs, and to make sure it's done right, he will install them. All this saves you money on custom-made drapes, shades, and shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. ProctorDrapery.com.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serve you St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Mayela Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmoscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmoscholars.org. That's herzogmoscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the News Talk STL app.
Just a convenience on the phone.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Man, Brandon Johnson, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Or when you took an oath, was it only intended to fight for the 10th and 14th Amendments regarding illegal aliens?
You guys fighting for some illegal aliens. We haven't put a dime in this country. This falls on you. We don't want illegals in our community. We don't want migrants terrorizing our own people. And to have y'all sit up here and say we have to accept $70 million being given to them when you got black people who are already struggling and need help, it is a disgrace. It is a disgrace.
You want to know why Donald Trump won? You're watching. Yes, it was the economy, but this is disgraceful. We've seen it so many times. Chicago residents venting their rage over their mayor's handling of the illegal immigrant crisis there. Incoming border czar Tom Homan says that city in particular is priority number one, and he's not messing around.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Chris, just so you know,
thank you, Johnny.
Chris, just so you know, great tune, by the way.
Yes.
The video, Chris, that accompanied that sound, just so you know, Chris, that wasn't a bunch of white supremacists yelling at Brandon Johnson. That was a lot of urban dwelling people of color in Chicago, Chris. I don't know if they may be Democratic voters. Probably most of them are. They've had it with the policies of illegal immigration that their party leaders are supporting.
Because the black people in these metropolitan areas see their streets, their cities, their houses, their infrastructure crumbling. Meanwhile, we see the federal government and some of these mayors handing out illegal immigrants, giving them hotel stays, free hotel stays, giving them debit cards with $2,000 or $3,000 on it. We see them being taken care of, and black people are like, enough is enough. We've been here for 400 years since the beginning. I know we vote for Democrats, but this is just absolutely ridiculous when somebody can sneak into the country and can get all of these benefits right from the bat.
And this is
pissed.
And this is having a massive financial effect as well. Let's talk to our next guest about that because he can help us break it all down.
What is your financial situation?
Well, all of our holdings are tied up in the railroads.
Yeah, Reading Railroad, Beano Railroad, Pennsylvania Railroad.
I won second prize in a beauty contest. That's $50 right there.
Are you guys just saying Monopoly stuff?
Yeah,
he's got one of the better themes. He does a good job with this.
It's a great one. Dr. Aaron Hedlund, chief economist at the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org, joins us this afternoon. You know, Dr. Hedlund, I know we talk a lot of strict, straight financial news with you, but we know you can answer questions all across the political public policy spectrum. Illegal immigration, Doc, despite the fact that the liberals say it's no big deal, get over it, it's going to make us better, it has a huge financial cost, and it's been having a huge financial cost all across the country, especially, I believe, on middle and lower income Americans, hasn't it? Oh, is he there? Did we lose him?
Oops.
Aaron?
We'll get him. We should call him.
We'll have Johnny work.
Yeah.
We'll have Johnny work on that. But I think he would say yes.
Yeah.
I think he would say yes to that.
And God, I got all discombobulated. What was your statement again? Because I had an answer for it.
Yeah. Doesn't this massive illegal immigration, it's had a financial cost already, despite what the liberals have said over the years. You were talking about this earlier in the show, that the Josh Hawley clip, that one liberal was arguing with him and saying, no, it doesn't have an effect on jobs, doesn't have an effect on employment, doesn't have an effect on costs.
My argument, or not argument, what I hear the argument from them is that if we deported all of these millions of people, that this will basically destroy the economy because there's nobody to fill these jobs. We need these people. They're filling the jobs and Americans won't. So it sounds politically great to say, hey, get rid of them, send them all back home. We need those workers or parts of our economy may disintegrate.
Indeed. Let's bring in Aaron Hedlund. Aaron, are you there?
I am here.
Doctor.
Great. Dr. Hedlund, did you hear my lead up to that? The liberals think there's no cost, there's no ramifications, there's no financial stress. It's no big deal to have a bazillion illegal aliens flooded in the country over the last 4 years. I have a feeling you think you come to an opposite conclusion on all that.
Well, absolutely. And they don't just think there's no cost. They think it's a net positive. I mean, there's a reason they allow it. I mean, there's a reason they actually make it easier to do it. No, I mean, this is something where we are in the midst of a cost of living crisis, and in many places a public safety crisis. And you can directly tie much of that to illegal immigration, not just the people who are crossing who have various reasons on their own, but the whole network, the smuggling network, the human trafficking, all that stuff is enabled by this disastrous open border.
Dr. Hedlund, the liberals give us a doomsday scenario if the Trump administration was able to do what they and most of us want done, is to ship most of these illegals back home. They say that it will devastate the economy in many sectors because these people are a big part of it. What do you say to the people that make that argument, that we need these people for our economy, even though they're here illegally?
Well, I always find it funny when the liberals talk about doomsday with the Trump administration when we had a Trump administration. So let's talk about, for example, the size of the government. Does anybody think it would be a disaster if the government was 2019 size instead of 2024 size? I don't think so. Does anybody think it'd be a disaster if the illegal immigrants who came over in the past 5 years didn't come over? No, I don't think anyone plausibly believes that. So no, I mean, we need an economy and a country that believes in the rule of law. And by the way, there are a lot of people that should be coming to the country that are waiting in line that could deliver a lot of value to the country, and they're stuck. So there's so much to fix, but it starts with order.
Dr. Hedlund, I don't know if you happen to hear it or read about it or see the reaction to it, but Joe Biden gave this speech this week where he declared that the U.S. economy was fantastic, that happy days were here again, and he was handing over this wonderful gem of an economy to Donald Trump, and Trump better not screw it up. The very next day, Dr. Hedlund, the inflationary numbers come out, and the second month in a row, Biden inflation continues to rage across the land. I guess he's going to leave the White House the same way he came in, completely delusional, right?
Exactly. Reality is always a strong inconvenience to every talking point that seems to be coming out of the White House. I mean, we're talking about the worst cost of living crisis in a generation. Prices up cumulatively over 20%. Paychecks are not up by that amount. People are behind. Housing is the least affordable it has ever been. I mean, if you think about the staples of a kind of a traditional American life, American dream, like those are farther out of reach than they've ever been. And it's not coincidence. It's not Vladimir Putin. It is bad liberal policies.
Dr. Hedlund, in November, the U.S. added a seasonally adjusted 227,000 jobs. The unemployment rate jumped to 4.2%. And we learned that roughly 193,000 workers dropped out of the labor force last month. So my rough math here, 227 minus 193, doesn't sound like a lot of jobs were created.
No, and let's not forget the October numbers were really bad.
That's right.
So, I mean, the labor market hasn't fallen off the cliff yet, but labor markets tend to react with a delay to things. So now the good news is now that we know what policy is going to look like in 2025, there's actually a lot to be optimistic about. And I'm hoping what that means is that employers, even though they're dealing with high prices and a lot of other issues, they know that at least tax hikes are not happening. Dereg is going to happen. And therefore, hopefully, that means the labor market will get stronger over time.
Speaking to Dr. Aaron Hedlund, he's the chief economist at the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org. So, Dr. Hedlund, given the actual reality of the economic situation, given the actual reality of the inflationary data, what would you advise the Fed to do next week, I believe, when they meet regarding interest rates? What would you advise them to do? But on the other hand, what do you think they will do?
Well, you cut out a little bit there, but in terms of advising of what to do, I mean, there's so much that could be undone. There's so much that can be reversed. And actually, I think we can see some pretty quick change because investors, they move very quickly to positive news. So energy dominance, obviously a secure border, making it very clear that tax hikes are not going to go into effect. And in fact, not just extend, but ideally expand upon them. And then, of course, here at the state of Missouri, we have a generational opportunity as well to really catch up to states like Tennessee, Florida, Texas, and really be a magnet for the Midwest.
Dr. Hedlund, the incoming Trump administration is bandying about a plan that has been around for a long time. It is privatizing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They're the two government agencies that basically guarantee home mortgages. Those two entities are worth $146 billion. Economists are warning that privatizing it would be overly complicated and can make it more expensive for borrowers to purchase a home. What's your thoughts on that as our economists?
Yeah, so I don't see any reason to fear. I mean, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have, over the most of their life, been not government entities. It's really just been since the financial crisis that they've been in this limbo stage. And my biggest concern, not just with them, but with a lot of the government, is politicization. And we actually saw the Biden administration actually try to make it so that if you had good credit, you'd pay higher fees. And if you had bad credit, you'd pay lower fees. So they're trying to create this subsidy. And they do this all the time. That's the problem with the government. Is you put the thumb on the scale, trying to enact some kind of political goal, and it messes with the market and causes prosperity to decline. So the only way to get rid of that is to take more things out of the hands of the government so they can't touch it to begin with.
Aaron, you mentioned what will likely be one of the biggest efforts by Republicans, hopefully, in the Missouri legislature. The Missouri legislative session begins January the 8th. It's right around the corner. And that is a further stepping down, hopefully, of Missouri's income tax situation, which we've been stepping that down for years. Dr. Hedlund, first of all, why is that important for Missouri to do? And secondly, could you explain to our audience how, that will not result in any harm to the budget, because it hasn't to this point, and it may very likely put us in a position to continue to grow as a state?
Well, you actually mentioned the most critical aspect of that, which is we've been doing this. We've been stepping down the tax rate for the past several years, and there's been no crisis from that. And that's sort of baked into how it's done. What causes the tax rate to step down is surplus revenues. So the faster we grow, the faster things can step down. So there's no reason to fear. And in fact, there's quite a lot of reason for joy, because when you look at what causes people, and particularly businesses, to relocate to one place or the other, they want businesses want a competitive environment, and families want an environment where their kids can be safe and they're learning well at school and they can keep more of their paycheck and they can afford life. And that's where bringing down that tax rate can help on both fronts. And I'm really encouraged to hear the positive momentum.
Dr. Hedlund, I want to get your thoughts on another idea the Trump transition is putting up as a trial balloon. They are considering abolishing the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, as well as the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, and dropping deposit insurance, having that be absorbed into the Treasury Department. Your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, I think there's lots of very positive movement to consolidate government. We've seen so many different agencies, and Treasury has a lot of capabilities, and I'm sure they're going to study really carefully as to whether it makes sense to shift it or not. You can say the same thing about, for example, the Department of Education. What sorts of things could be shifted out of the Department of Education? And it's really tempting and easy for people to think that once a department is established, it's been there forever. But in many cases, they haven't been there forever, and it makes sense to take a fresh look at everything.
Yeah, Dr. Hedlund, follow up on the Department of Ed. There's a lot of discussion about possibly downsizing the federal Department of Education. I know there's been many calls within the Trump administration circles to completely eradicate it. And here on the state level, too, folks have been talking about that because, yeah, Dr. Hedlund, if you look at the original design of these, I know for a fact that here in the state of Missouri, the State Department of Ed was set up to be, I think in the beginning it had 4 employees, and it was simply supposed to make, they were basically supposed to be bean counters. They were supposed to make sure that the money that flowed through the state's education funding formula got from point A to point B. So maybe at the very least, we should return these agencies to their original design because, like everything in government, they've grown and gotten into areas they never were supposed to be in. So if we take them out of those areas, nobody should be harmed by it. And I think taxpayers will actually benefit, won't they?
For sure. I mean, bureaucrats are always looking for ways to justify their paychecks. That's the problem. Like, they're not just doing whatever the taxpayers think. They know that if they're not looking busy, if they're not finding something to do, that maybe their job's at risk. And we've seen a lot of mission creep at the state level and the federal level. But then when you actually look at the objectives that people care about, actual educational achievement, it is impossible to see any progress created by all this bureaucratic growth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not getting progress and you're getting a lot of negatives, to me, it's a pretty clear case to go the other direction.
Dr. Hedlund, the United States has a $7 trillion budget. $5 trillion of that budget is non-discretionary spending, which means it cannot be touched, leaving about $1.7 to $2 trillion. How do you cut spending? How do you balance a budget if you can only touch 25% of that budget?
Well, I think that the first thing you need to do is you need to build trust. You need to build trust. You need to prove to people that you can actually cut the stuff that's total nonsense first. And then as you build that trust, I think you can expand the net and look at what other things you can reform. And even if we just went back to 2019 levels of government, that in and of itself would have a dramatic impact on the deficit. And all of that growth post 2019, there's that temporary COVID stuff, which truly should have just been temporary, and it's become permanent. So let's prove to people that we can reverse that. And then, of course, there are these bigger conversations to have as well.
He's at AaronHedlund.com, AaronHedlund.com, at Aaron_Hedlund on Twitter X. Of course, you can read everything that Dr. Hedlund and the Show Me Institute's working on at showmeinstitute.org, showmeinstitute.org. Dr. Hedlund, thanks so much for everything, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again in the very near future.
Look forward to it as always.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. Wow.
We may not speak to him. His next turnaround may be Friday, and we won't be here.
As I was saying that, we may not talk to him until next year.
We should have wished him Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Aaron, right. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. There we go. 5:44 in the PM. Just like that, one segment left. Last segment, last show of the week before we all get out of here and turn you over to Larry Connors USA. I'm going to skedaddle on down the road and try to catch Abby swim meet.
Good luck,
Chris
Abby.
and Johnny will be back right after this. They're going to tell you what's coming up on Larry Connors USA and Jamie Allman, the Allman Report at 8:05 as well. Lots more straight ahead. Keep it right here. Fantastic Friday show and Dee here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Cloudy and chilly today with a high in the low to mid 40s, but it should stay dry and a little bit on the breezy side too, so there is a little wind chill out there. Overnight lows tonight in the 40s and the high tomorrow close to 50, but it looks like a soaking rain most of the day. It'll move in the morning and then showers throughout the day, starting to let up a little bit in the evening. Drier, partly cloudy and 56 degrees on Sunday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
The Allman Report.
Hey, it's a fancy Friday on the Allman Report. Tim Jones and the great Doug Giles. The Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman. Weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Larry Connors here, and I'm heading to southern Italy for a tour of the most beautiful coastline in the world, the Amalfi Coast. I want you to join me. We'll travel for 11 magical days with professionals from Conservative Tours. They're the best tour operators in Italy. Conservative Tours, an A+ rating with the BBB. $54.88 is your cost. That includes airfare from St. Louis, luxury hotels, dining events you'll remember for years. Call 888-733-9494 or go to conservativetours.com. Join me next spring in Italy on the Isle of Capri, just $54.88, including airfare from St. Louis. 888-733-9494 or go to conservativetours.com.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL, Haunted Garage. And we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right. It's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
Merry Christmas. I'm Amber, and when I found out I was pregnant, my world was already crashing around me. I was bouncing from house to house and sleeping in my car. I Googled abortion, and Thrive popped up. So I called and made an appointment. The women I met that day was so sweet and helpful. They saved my baby that day. When I was scared about not having an income during maternity leave, Thrive was there. They gave me hope and strength. It was like the Lord showed me that I wasn't alone, because Thrive was there for me and my baby. Because of listeners like you, I get to celebrate Christmas with both my 4-year-old son and my 1-year-old daughter this year. Would you help the next mother in need? You can go to thrivealivestl.org right now to see your $33 gift double match and trigger the rescue of the next child. That's thrivealivestl.org. thrivealivestl.org.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
$5:48 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on this Friday, the 13th. Johnny, do you have Friday the 13th phobias, or is it just another day for you?
I didn't realize it was that till Tony mentioned it earlier.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
so it's not one of the things that you.
I got enough weird things going on.
I hear you.
I don't have time for numerology or anything like that. You know, I'm a fan of patterns and recognizing things like. But no, I.
All right, let's explore this, because this is where I was going in this last segment. You are a new member of the News Talk STL team, but you are a longtime radio veteran,
grizzled veteran,
media guy. All right, audience is going to be hearing from you from now on, and a lot of different shows and filling in and things. Who is Johnny?
I don't really want to talk about it. Yeah, I prefer.
I think the statute of limitations are up on most of those things by now.
I try to give up some of my boomer mentality. Yeah. Even though being a Gen Xer, I have a boomer mentality a lot.
You're right on the edge there, because I'm 66. 66 starts the beginning of the Gen X.
No, I'm the end. Okay. I'm the very end. I'm right before the stinking millennials.
Okay, well, you're a boomer then. When were you born?
76.
76. Okay.
So, but I have the mentality, especially when it comes to radio, like when podcasting started happening, and the boss at a different station used to yell at me, like, you need to get these podcasts. they need to get up. And I was like, no, they do not. I was like, you either get the information when you get it, by listening to us.
Yeah,
that's the one, I guess, chain that we had. And I used to, and I've broken free of that, because I get it. I don't.
Because people want to listen to stuff when they want to listen to it now on their schedule.
You want to skip the commercials, don't you? No. I was told, like, as a guy who has made commercials, primarily my whole radio career, that's what I got into it to do. I was like, no, I'm going to make them. You're going to listen to them because it pays my paycheck.
I hear you. So
I don't get to skip them. You don't get to skip them.
So you were kind of like the blacksmith who saw the Model T coming with, like, no, I've
been like that with so many things.
Like, no,
I'm aware that I do it.
I will fix the shoes on your horse.
Yeah, I try not to do it anymore, but I just try to be more self-aware about it. But I fall into those traps of no, we're not changing. You stupid kids. Your ideas are bad, and I'm trying to get away from that. But I came into radio at the end of the cart machine. The cart machine is like the cart.
So I've heard of that, but I'm just Johnny. I'm just one of these guys that somehow fell into radio, but I know nothing about.
I kind of fell into it too. I'll give you that part. That part of my life is I've been a musician.
Okay.
Home studio owner since the 90s. Since I could afford a personal computer.
Okay.
About 1998 or so, when I ordered a Gateway from the Home Shopping
Did you know
Network.
Beetle Bob?
I've came across him. Yes,
I worked with Beetle Bob at UPS back in the
I'm
day. He
sorry.
used to be I heard that about him.
He's
but
a notorious merch borrower.
He's a merch borrower, but maybe I shouldn't say this, but he's deceased now, and it's the truth. He got terminated from UPS for stealing, and he had worked there. He had worked there for years. For years, I was his supervisor for a little bit.
Did he just randomly take packages and gamble on what was in it?
I don't know what's that, but they were having a theft problem, and what UPS would do they would put when there weren't any shifts going around, they would install cameras in the ceilings and stuff on particular areas where they think that someone was stealing, and they caught him doing it. That happened on I used to be the Clayton box line supervisor, and on my box line, it was Richmond Heights, Clayton, all those areas. The brown trucks, my employees loaded the brown trucks, and there was a particular truck. It was the first truck. It went to a jewelry store in New City every single year. And they would get really high priced packages every single day that they had to be signed for. And every now and then somebody would steal one, and they couldn't figure out who it did. All of us were under suspicion. And what they finally did, they put a camera in the ceiling, and it was another driver. There was a driver that he had his truck was on the very end of the dock. And so UPS would have these things called tote boxes that you would put the smaller boxes in instead of putting them on the truck. He would take an empty tote box, come around near that truck, take the package, put it in his tote box like he was taking it down to his truck, just blow packages in it. And he stole these packages for years. And these were like $10,000-$15,000 jewelry packages.
I mean, it's bad enough when the few times I've been porch pirate.
Yeah. You got porch pirated while we were out of town last weekend.
I mean, last year,
annoying.
I got robbed for a camping table.
We almost got robbed for some cat litter, and then they figured out what it was, and they brought it back.
Oh, yeah. I get my cat litter from Chewy, too. It comes 40 pounds to a box.
Exactly.
Go ahead. I don't live in the hood anymore, so I'm going to go home, and there's probably going to be a box on my front porch,
Yeah. I was shocked. My wife and I, when we took our honeymoon back in 2017, we had somebody come and check out the house and everything, but we had a whole bunch of packages, wedding gifts and stuff that were on the porch, and I was like, and this was before rain. And then we came home after our honeymoon. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe these packages are still on our porch. It was like 7 or 8 of them.
I managed to get a lot of my stuff on the regular, but then it was just that one item disappeared quick.
Yeah.
Like they told me, the person who sent it was a gift, and they sent it, and they said it dropped. And I was like, oh man, I'm out. I made it home in 20 minutes. It was gone.
Maybe you can explain this to me, because we have a Ring camera now, and you would think that if someone came near your house, the Ring camera would pick them up, and it has a pretty wide range camera. How did they get away? We had a package that was stolen. We saw the Amazon driver put the package behind the chair on the porch. We came home a couple of days later, and the package was gone. It's like, how are they stealing when we have?
What are you
going to
do if somebody has like a COVID mask on and or one of those shiesty ski masks?
So we're like seeing nothing. It's like they're invisible, like they're vampires. It's like no person at all, but the package is gone.
I'm not a fan of that Ring camera stuff. If I were to go surveillance, I would probably try to get something you have a bit more control over.
So you can talk to them like, hey, get away from my.
Yeah, it's just I think it's for you to access your footage. Don't you have to pay? Don't you have to subscribe in order to?
It's $10 a month. Come on, Johnny.
No, that's where you got to draw the line.
All right,
see,
$10.
It's everybody wants $10 a month. Everybody wants $9.99, and they still want to show you commercials too. I bet if you were to go get your footage, they probably insert commercials into your footage.
Hey, Johnny, I'm almost embarrassed for you. You're that cheap that you don't want to pay $10 for security.
Thrifty. No, because you have to buy the camera. That's the thing. Is I'm a big consumer.
They're $100, Johnny. Come on,
big consumer.
You do it yourself. You put it up there. They charge you $10 a month.
No,
and they even monitor it. You can call someone.
No.
Say you got the Second Amendment taken care of.
No, I just like it'll chirp, and then I'll come answer the door, but I don't need you to hold my footage and make it nice. And that's I'm a big consumer advocate.
Think of it this way. Think of all the crimes that have been committed because a neighbor had a Ring camera and they caught the person who did these crimes.
Oh, I'm not saying they're a bad thing. I'm not saying they're a bad thing. I'm saying
be
paying the service every month is ridiculous. Draw the line. People got to draw the line. This subscription stuff has got to stop. It in America.
I bet you spend $120 on a Vice currently. Now, that's a year. $120. Come on, what do you spend $120 on? And you spend that on the weekend.
No, but I do spend. I have Vices, but
There you go. All right, we got to wrap up here. Next, of course, is Larry Connors USA from 6 to 8. He'll talk about the drones that are everywhere, but our government appears indifferent. The disappearing American farmer, and Trump rings the bell to open the stock market. And what happened next was great. That's Larry Connors USA up next, 6 to 8. After that is the Jamie Allman Report on 8 to 10. You have been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Have a safe evening and a great weekend.
Never could believe the things you do to me. I never could believe the way you are.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Tom, I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Consumer Bankers Association and other banks are taking legal action